appreciative of the win, appreciative of the efforts. A lot of fun in the locker room, man. It's just good to get the job done. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate it. But we also understand it's not anything mystical. It's good work. It's minimizing negativity, staying on schedule on offense and possessing the ball, running the ball, winning possession downs on defense.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. I'm Missi Matthews. The Steelers beating the Saints at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday, 20-10. They now move to 3-6. We're going to break it all down for you. Let's welcome in our panelists today. We have Dale Lolley of Steelers.com and SNR. Matt Williamson, same goes for him, and also Shelby Cassesse of Steelers.com as well. So guys, let's just start globally, as Coach Tomlin would say, to kick things off. And Dale, what does this win mean for the Steelers season?
Well, I mean, it kicks off the second half, and Matt and I have talked about this a lot on our show, The Drive, that you know, the second half of this season, the schedule eases up considerably, and you also got T.J. Watt back. You found the running game in this game. They ran for 200 yards for the first time since 2016. So there was a lot to be taken out of this game that you like, and you know, if it springboards you into the second half, and gives you a solid finish to the season, whether you make the playoffs or don't make the playoffs. But if you finish the second half of this season strong, it then gives you something to look forward to in 2023.
Matt, I assume you agree with Dale?
Wholeheartedly, and I think it sets up very well big picture. You got to remember, this is an extremely young offense with a first-year quarterback. You know, I think that week away without playing games certainly made life a little easier on everyone's bodies, but also their minds. The young guys, Pickett in particular. Okay, now I understand what the harshest of environments are in this league. What do I have to do to be better? Understand the speed of the game. I'm sure it was good for Najee as well. I mean, and it came at a good time. You beat an opponent that, you know, has had success of late in the last couple of years, but it isn't in a great place in terms of their injuries and things as well. And you're set up for a much better second half than first half of the season.
Shelby, in terms of getting,
go ahead, Missi.
Sorry, in terms of getting T.J. Watt back, no Minka Fitzpatrick. They also got Demonte KZ. We know what the record is when T.J. Watt's in the lineup. Is the T.J. Watt effect real?
I would say it's absolutely real. I mean, we know from experience just how present T.J. Watt is on the field. We know from experience just how much this defense misses him when he's not in. And, you know, I looked at T.J. Watt yesterday, same as always. Even if he's not directly involved in a play with a tackle, he is a disruptor. He is causing confusion on the other side of the field. He is taking attention away from his teammates, and just really not his impact on the field, but the confidence factor too. I think his presence allows the rest of his teammates to feel confident. I think even without Minka Fitzpatrick, you really sensed that yesterday, that they just had this swagger and confidence about them that they've been missing for a while.
Dale, being able to contain and not really let Alvin Kamara or Taysom Hill take over the game or do anything for this defense, was there something specific they did?
Well, you know, I think they were very cognizant of when Hill was in the game at quarterback. You saw on the sideline they had the sign that they held up when Hill was at quarterback that had the WC in red on it. Mm-hmm. You know, to let everybody on the defense know, because you're not always paying attention exactly who the quarterback is because you've got other assignments to take care of. So they were very cognizant of that. And you saw, you know, the one good run that Kamara had, he broke off about a 10-yard run with Hill at quarterback. They made sure they came in and hit Hill as the quarterback, much the same way they treat Lamar Jackson. And T.J. Watt came in and made sure that he got a lick on Hill in that situation. So, you know, you wanted to slam the door on the running game. You wanted to make it tough on Andy Dalton. Dalton throwing outside the numbers in this game was 6 of 11 for 66 yards in both of his interceptions. You know, so if you were able to do that, slam the door and run, get them into some third and long situations, I think the Steelers felt pretty confident they could have success there because, honestly, I mean, you shut down Chris Olave, you shut down the rest of that passing game, and they did a nice job of that, pressuring the quarterback, even though the sacks weren't necessarily what you'd like to see there. They did have 2, but they made Dalton uncomfortable in the pocket by getting them into those third and long situations.
It seemed like they were in third and long and third and very long the entire game too. I mean, 3rd and 7 was like a treat for Dalton in this game. You guys kind of mentioned it. Taysom Hill aside, I mean, he's a specialty player, but he's not an every snap type of guy. I really looked at this game coming in and thought it was Kamara and Olave that can't beat you. They really don't have a third guy that's a high-end player. Olave's an emerging star, and they locked those two up extremely well.
Shelby, they played Renegade. An interception followed in terms of winning the turnover battle. Was there anything special the Steelers did, something that they haven't been able to do since their last win?
I just thought generally this defense was aggressive and they were in good position. It seemed like they really had good field awareness. You look at Levi Wallace and his interception. That was just a good jump ball that he was in a great position to make the catch. And it was that aggression from the Steelers up front. I think it took a little bit of the pressure off the back end. And as we mentioned, it wasn't the traditional kind of pressure where you're making sacks. They still got good pressure on him. And we've seen so many times and time again that allows the DBs to really make that play. DeMonte KZ, he was a guy who had a lot on his plate. I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick's out. He comes in with a full plate, makes a good play on his end. It was just really a widespread situation where everyone benefited from an all-hands-on-deck defense.
All right, well, we have to talk about the Steelers offense, specifically what Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren were able to do on the ground. A career day for the first time in 6 years for them. We'll talk about that and much more when the Extra Point returns.
Give him a gain of 7 on the play, and now Najee Harris breaks one into New Orleans territory and breaks a tackle to get some more.
I thought Kenny did some good things with his legs. I thought the runners ran hard, and I thought we came off the ball as some bigs up front. We ran off the ball, and so we'll just keep building.
Over 200 rushing yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Saints in their win. And Dale, the last time we saw a team for the Steelers go over was 2016, the Le'Veon Bell snow game, as it was appropriately called.
I will never forget that game.
Picturesque, and you knew what he was going to do, and they could not stop him in Buffalo. But going back to yesterday against the Saints, we've been talking all year, especially with Kenny Pickett taking over, about getting the run game going to help support him. What changed, and why did it work?
I talked to some of the offensive linemen about that after the game. They're like, hey, we've been trying to do this for several weeks now, all season long, and we just haven't been able to do it and stick with it because of game script and things of that nature. I thought because the defense was playing lights out and getting the ball back for them quickly, it allowed them to stick with the running game a little bit more. And I thought that the running backs, and particularly Najee Harris, was much more decisive in this game. The holes were there. The holes really have kind of been there over the last, over the course of the season. But I thought Harris was much more decisive in his running and just getting downhill quickly. And, you saw him run some guys over and do things of that nature. We saw him diving for the goal line, in a situation where he was kind of stopped at the 5 and he dives and lands at the 1. That's what we saw from Najee Harris last year. I don't know what was missing for him, but he was so much more the guy that we had seen last year, whether it was taking some step back and reflecting on the first half of the season because of the bye. I think maybe he was taking too much on his shoulders a little bit, in terms of being a team captain and the expectations rise. You're supposed to be the guy that the offense flows through. And it's a heavy load for a second-year player. I think maybe he's getting more comfortable in that.
Yeah, I agree with everything Dale said, and it was the best Najee's looked all year. Warren complements him extremely well. It sure adds to your numbers when you have a quarterback that can run, and Kenny did that very, very well. The other two things I'd like to throw in, though, is I thought Dan Moore at left tackle was tremendous in the run game. I mean, he was lights out and moving bodies time and time again. And now with Chase Claypool out of the mix, I think it's pretty clear that we're going to see more 12 personnel with heavier guys on the field, more double tight end sets, sprinkle in a little bit of Watt of fullback, the less 3 receiver sets, and it just adds a physicality to the nature of it all.
Yeah, Matt, I was looking at the box score, and there are 9 receivers in the Steelers receiving section of the box score, and that's not something you've seen typically this season. You have a good ground game with the 1-2 punch and Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You have a lot of options at receiver, and I think that's really where this offense needs to head, is this diverse offense. In the National Football League, a good ground game is necessary, and it's going to allow your offense to open up so much more. I think we saw what could be with this offense just yesterday with a really balanced attack.
No turnovers helping to get the win seems like a good recipe, plus the run game and spreading the ball out for a rookie quarterback. Dale, what did you see from Kenny Pickett in terms of maybe improvements or things he did differently from first half to second half?
Well, as Shelby just referenced, he kind of spread the ball around a little bit more than he typically had. I mean, there were some games early on where everything was being funneled through, the top 3 or 4 guys. I think he used his eligibles well. He missed some throws in this game I think he'd probably like to have back, but he did use his legs really well. I think he was looking to take off and looking to, run once the pass rush. They knew the Saints were going to try to get upfield quickly. That's the way that team is built, to rush the passer. They have a bunch of thoroughbreds on the defensive line that just want to get after the passer, and the offensive line was kind of pushing them past and allowing Pickett to get out of the pocket. Now, he did get stuck in there a couple of times and caught for some sacks, but I thought he was doing a really nice job of getting what was there and what was available with his legs, and again, spreading the ball around, getting the ball where it needed to go, and taking care of the football. No interceptions in this game. That was huge. In a game like this, the Steelers need to keep with that recipe moving forward.
And I wanted to reference one thing that happened around the league too. I mean, Tampa Bay and Green Bay, both those teams' offenses have underachieved, struggled, whatever you want to say, with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Well, what did they do yesterday? Rodgers threw 20 passes in an overtime game to beat Dallas. Tampa Bay leaned on the running game like no other point this season. And I mean, if Brady and Rodgers are going to push for that, condone that, they got a couple more skins on the wall than Kenny Pickett. I mean, fewer passes with Pickett is going to lead to fewer turnovers, more efficiency, and that's exactly what we saw with Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Steelers took that lead and ran with it, literally.
Well, and Shelby, thanks to the turnovers by the Steelers defense, especially the end of the game, a little bit over 4 minutes, the offense gets the ball back, and they did what we saw, the New England Patriots do to them on that very field.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are the types of drives you need to establish if you're this offense. And you talk about Kenny Pickett, and when you have a rookie quarterback like him, the nature of the season that he's in the middle of right now, you just want to see that trend line continue to go up week after week. And I think this week you did see that trend line go up for him. And that includes those lengthy drives, those 11-play drives that result in a score at the end. Those are things that we aren't seeing too much of at this point from the Steelers, but yesterday was an exception to that. And I think that's incredibly important to see the Steelers offense continue to do. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. There are things to work on, but I think that's going to be the nature of this team with a rookie quarterback and a lot of young talent around him. It all comes down to me on that trend line, and I think we saw that move up yesterday.
All right, and Kenny Pickett with that ankle injury. We'll get an update on that tomorrow from Coach Tomlin during his press conference at noon. Guys, happy Victory Monday. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks to everybody at home for watching. This is the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. We'll see you here next week.